It's now time for our next segment, Horror on the Small Screen. So each week we're going to go over either a horror-related show or a regular show that has horror-themed episodes. And for our very first episode, we're going to go over Goosebumps. And for those who don't know, Goosebumps was a book series that came out in the 90s and 2000s, written by R.L. Stine. These were very popular. I grew up in the Goosebumps era, so these were very popular when I was a kid. I remember getting in trouble because I was like in 8th grade and we had to do a book report and I did Goosebumps. Everybody's like, you can't do Goosebumps, that's too easy. So I did Steve Martin's Born Standing Up instead. Great book. So just like The Roommate, this Goosebumps episode was a pick by Tasia. So let's go ahead and jump into our review of Goosebumps, The Ghost Next Door, Parts 1 and 2. Spoiler warnings. So when I found out that these two episodes took place in the final season of Goosebumps, I was kind of worried it was going to suck. But I actually enjoyed this episode quite a bit. The acting wasn't great, but it's 90s TV acting, so I wasn't expecting, a whole lot. Plus I've seen a lot of Goosebumps episodes, and I know that the acting's usually never great on there. But I felt like the main two kids in this one did a pretty decent job. So I haven't seen every episode of Goosebumps, but oh my god, the final season when the theme song, like the first few seasons the theme song was like really great, and for the final season they use the same theme song but they use like stupid ass wacky sound effects and threw them all over there. It kind of really fucks up the flow because like you watch the early seasons, the theme song gets you there, but if they keep adding all that wacky shit, it kind of like takes it away from you a little bit. So our main character in this episode is Hannah Fairchild. And we begin the episode and she wakes up from a nightmare and then she begins to email her friend Katie. Now this goes on for minutes until you finally after she gets done, she gets up and her fucking laptop is off.
Sometimes I think I'm going a little crazy around here. Anyway, have you met any cute boys yet?
So then our incompetent main character is walking around her house where she hears a creepy voice calling her name outside. And this, rightly freaks her out. She locks her door and calls 911. And when she calls 911, they can't hear her for some reason. Then the dispatcher, when she couldn't hear her, decided that she can go fuck herself and hung up on her. Even though she couldn't figure out how to work a laptop, at least she was smart enough to call 911 and lock the doors. She's already ahead of 90% of most people in horror movies. So the mysterious man outside throws a rock through her window, where she then instantly rushes outside, I guess to whoop his ass. Yeah. So Hannah runs around outside where she bumps into her new neighbor, Danny. Within like 3 minutes of Hannah and Danny hanging out, Danny disappears and then screams for help. And when Hannah rushes over to find out what's going on, turns out he was faking it. Which happens in every episode of Goosebumps. I guess R.L. Stine must think that shit's fucking gold. I don't know why, but it happens in every fucking episode of Goosebumps. Danny eases Hannah's mind and convinces her that the thing that's been chasing her and throwing the rock through her window and chanting her name was a fucking kite. I guess she's back in the stupid column again. So the next day, after Hannah figured out how to hit the on switch on her laptop, she writes a letter to her friend Katie. And instead of talking about how weird that shit was, she just talking about how cute her new friend Danny was. So Hannah prints off her email and decides to mail it to her friend Katie. She goes outside, the mailman doesn't see her, and drives off. Now, the whole town hates this goddamn mailman. He's a really nice guy, it looks like. Except he almost hits Danny here. Jesus, instead of hitting his brakes, he just makes this face. He didn't stop to check on the kid. Yo, fuck this mailman, I'm with them. So Danny goes and hangs out with 2 older kids. And while he does that, Hannah hears the creepy voice chant her name again, which leads her down to a basement. But she thinks the voice is Danny, even though it has a grown man's fucking voice to it. So Hannah gets locked in the basement, where the creepy voice is chanting her name over and over again. And she is freaking out. And finally, the voice that she's been hearing comes out. And it's a black figure. No, not that kind of black figure. Hannah then is able to escape where Danny is outside. And she accuses Danny of being the ghost. So Hannah runs off and decides to do some research. And she finds out that Danny's address, there was a house fire killing an entire family. So Detective Hannah goes back to Danny's house for clues. And she finds out they don't have electricity and they're using candles. Hannah then finds Danny's mom. She doesn't even look or even acknowledge Hannah. Fuck Danny's mom. Danny then runs in, where Hannah drops the bombshell on them that she thinks they're a ghost. Quickly says, no, we're not ghosts. Their power hasn't been shut on yet, and my mom's deaf. Damn it, Hannah, you keep letting us down. So Hannah apologizes for the weird accusations, and she shows Danny the news articles she got all that information from. Danny looks it over, and they realize that it wasn't his address, it's her address. And it's actually Hannah who's been the ghost this whole time.
No! Hannah, don't! It's not safe! You're right. There is a ghost around here. It's you.
That was the end of part 1. Once Danny figures out Hannah's a ghost, he wants nothing to do with her. So now Hannah's all scared and alone. As much as I goof on this episode, it's part 2 that I think is way better than the 2 parts. And part 2 is really kind of what I got invested in the characters. Sad and scared and alone, Hannah seeks out the Shadow Man for guidance. So he shows her how to haunt the living. So she decides to go and haunt the mailman. And once he shits his pants, she decides the haunting's not for her. She wants to know why can only Danny see her. So then Danny is hanging out with those 2 loser older kids again. And in order to impress them, Danny decides to go find Hannah again and apologize. But just so she can prove to the other boys that she's real. And this is the point where I decided, fuck Danny, he's an asshole. What a shitty thing. He said, fuck off when she's just a regular ghost. But when it convenienced him, he wanted to apologize and make good just so he can look cool. And do you know what? While I'm at it, fuck Danny's mom. Deaf bitch. As shithead is trying to convince her to prove that she exists to his friends, the mysterious black figure tries to kill Danny by throwing a wooden beam at him. But Hannah saves his life. Why, Hannah? Why? So it turns out that the black figure must kill Danny by midnight so he can become a ghost. So what the fuck is he? So Danny couldn't convince Hannah to show the other boys that she exists. So the boys give Danny one last chance to be their friend. And in order for that to work, they had to put a stink bomb in that mailman's house. So Hannah somehow figures this out and follows them there. So Danny sneaks into the mailman's house. He almost gets caught, so he hid in the mailman's closet, and the mailman locked him in there. I guess he didn't know he was in there, but he shut the closet door and it locked on him. And he goes upstairs, and then the house catches on fire. I'm guessing this is from the black figure, right? And the black figure sets the house on fire. The mailman instantly rushes out of there, and Danny's stuck in the closet. So Hannah rushes in, and she manages to get the closet door unlocked. But when she opens it, Danny is already passed out. Now, she's a ghost, and she doesn't have enough strength to actually pick up Danny. So she does the actual smart thing, and she starts playing the piano, which gets the attention of everybody outside. The mailman rushes back in and grabs Danny and saves him from the fire.
Somebody call a doctor.
At this point, it's past midnight, and the shadow figure, whatever it may be, dies.
You lose. You lose!
No!
Possibly again. Nobody knows what this is. We're assuming he went to hell. So after all the day is saved, it turns out saving Danny's life was Hannah's purpose for her ghost to stick around. Which then Hannah's family comes back as ghost, and they take her away, assuming to heaven. I guess Goosebumps couldn't say, hey, we're going to heaven now. But I guess we're assuming they went to heaven. I actually liked the ending. I thought the ending was super sweet. Probably one of the better episodes of Goosebumps. I know you probably didn't like it, but this is actually one of the better ones. But I thought it was a super sweet ending.
Okay, so I've never seen a Goosebumps episode.
First Goosebumps.
Yes.
The first Goosebumps to pop that cherry.
Okay. Never read a book. They came out in the 90s. I was already an adult, so I just never got into that stuff. Watching the episode, like you were talking, Sean. Well filmed episode. A lot of character development. It was how do I say? It was good. It wasn't horror the way I thought it would be horror. It was more like supernatural and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I was a kid and I watched this, I probably would have liked it. But the nostalgia factor on it didn't hold up very well. I mean, the story, which one's a ghost? That kept me involved in it. Which one was the ghost? Which kid was the ghost? Then you find out which kid's the ghost. That mysterious figure was trying to kill the other kid and kill Danny.
Which we don't know why.
Yeah, we don't know why. It said something like maybe he was supposed to possess the body or something.
Yeah, he wanted to control Danny's body.
Control Danny's body or something like that. So maybe he was.
I guess he just lied to her. Like he had to die for some reason.
Yeah. But if this was a good Goosebumps episode, I wasn't. I watched it. I enjoyed it, but it's not that great. And one thing I like to say is, somebody's been saying about fucking Danny's mom a bunch and everything. Yeah, I mean, she's deaf, man. She didn't hear the ghost.
Yeah, but I mean, who cares what if I offend her? She ain't gonna hear it.
Yeah, you're true about that. She's not gonna hear it. She's deaf. But after watching it and realizing that they changed a bunch of it, and like you were saying that the last season wasn't as good as the other seasons, I'm going to give more episodes a chance, definitely. But this one was maybe a 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10?
4 out of 10. I wasn't too enthused in it.
I'm going to show you a bad Goosebumps. I know one offhand that it's fucking bad, and I'm like, I'm going to give this one to Dwayne.
I am thrilled to hear that.
Yeah. There's some fucking bad. If you think that's a 4, you're gonna get some negative numbers popping up. God.
Negative Goosebump numbers.
Yeah, there is better Goosebumps episodes. There's worse.
Let me see a better one.
You want to see it? Okay. Alright, yeah, okay, but like, again, let's not forget, it was 90s.
Yeah.
It was built for kids.
Yeah.
And they were all Canadian. So they
yeah, Canadian now.
The actors, I don't think R.L. Stein's Canadian, but I know the show was produced in Canada.
I'm going to blame Canada on that one.
Goosebumps, The Ghost Next Door, Pros and Cons. Pros. For an episode of Goosebumps, the acting wasn't that bad. I found part 2 of the episode very intriguing. Cons. I couldn't relate to the little boy. He was kind of an asshole. That dark, mysterious figure was never explained. Danny's mom.
This has been Goosebumps, The Ghost Next Door, parts 1 and 2. I'm giving it 6 Fuck Danny's Mom out of 10.